So I started at IHI in 2000 as a summer lunch coordinator. It was a summer AmeriCorps Vista position. And I actually applied for that position. I was interested in it, but I was actually really interested in, they had a year-long Vista position as a tenant services coordinator, and I really wanted that job. And fortunately, I got that job. So I moved from the Vista experience into the Director of Resident Services, and I did that for several years and really, really loved my job. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2010, Sarah, IHI's ED, mentioned that she was going to hire either a part-time asset manager or a part-time grant writer. And I love the Resident Services program and I felt a lot of ownership over it and I didn't want to give it up. Also was looking for some new skills. And I had done plenty of grant writing at that point, and so I asked Sarah about the asset management position. And at that point, I had never even looked at a financial statement. I definitely was not a shoo-in for the job. I totally would have understood if she had just said, no, I really need someone with more experience. But she gave me a shot at it, which was fantastic. And now I'm the Director of Housing Operations, so I oversee both the services component and IHI's real estate portfolio, which I think is kind of a unique position and beneficial to both IHI's residents and our general operations. Personally, when I began working at IHI, I was struggling with many of the same pitfalls as IHI's residents. I was a single mom, I was a Vista, so we were in the same income bracket, and we had a lot of the same experiences. And through putting together information that residents needed, I also learned how to dig myself out and start over financially. And I learned how to buy a house as part of my job. And then when I asked Sarah, when Sarah allowed me to start the asset management position, I asked her about graduate degree recommendation, and she suggested an MBA, and I will finish that this summer. From the get-go, Innovative Housing, Sarah specifically, has been really understanding about the demands of being a parent. It was very clear that she expected work to be done and she expected me to work my hours, but definitely was great about flexing time as necessary. For a while, I worked 6:30 to 2:30, so I could pick my kids up after school and have a block of time with them in the evening. It's been great for organizing extracurricular activities and just being a present parent, and it's been huge for me. So my most memorable success story at IHI, I've been here 9 years, so there's been a lot of great stories. I can't even count the number of people and families who avoided homelessness because of the intervention of services staff. And getting to oversee all of the services staff and seeing all of the different things that happen, it's really cool. At the same time, my focus tends to be on what needs to happen next, so I'm never the best person to ask about the success stories. But two stories come to mind immediately. The first is I had a mom at one of our sites, and she was like almost your soccer mom. She volunteered extensively at the schools. She was engaged in community volunteerism. She had her kids engaged in community volunteerism. They were great students. She was doing all the things you would imagine a great mom doing. And all of a sudden she was handcuffed and holding and was going to be deported from the US. And she called services, and this was completely outside of any experiences that I had had at the time and any experiences that any of the other services staff had had. But we were able to sort out the situation, broker connections with the agencies that she really needed to be working with, and actually were able to prove that she was already a US citizen. And so we avoided that deportation that could have happened based on a bureaucratic error. And that I thought was just a really exciting piece. And then another story was my first year on the job at IHI, and one of our residents, she had a boyfriend who was homeless, and homelessness happens for a lot of reasons. It's hard for people to access and maintain housing. But after getting to know him a little while, I realized that he didn't have any of the typical barriers. He really had just fallen through the cracks. And so it took about 3 days of 3 full days to get him an ID. There were some complications there, and 3 months on a wait list, and he'd secured housing and had stable housing for nearly a decade. Residents have positively affected my life in probably more ways than I can actually count. And this is an odd example to say this was the most impactful, but I think it really was. So again, my first year on the job, and I was working with a gentleman for several months when he asked for assistance relocating. And through that process, he revealed that 20 years ago he'd been convicted of a heinously violent crime, and he admitted to actually having committed that crime. And I mean, this was someone that I knew, that I liked. I understood a lot of the barriers and things that he was dealing with at the time, and it really solidified for me that situations and people are complex, that nothing is black and white. And it's impacted the way I do my job, but also just the way I live my life and view the world. So my favorite part of working for IHI is probably working for Sarah. She runs a truly innovative organization. I mean, high standards, hard work, integrity is balanced with the freedom to explore creative approaches, the freedom to for staff to use their individual strengths for the best organizational outcomes. She allows for experimentation and risk. There's very little bureaucracy limiting what we might do to help a resident in a particularly tough situation, to solve an organizational problem. I can't think of one incident where I've asked her to take a chance and she's told me no, and there have been quite a few out there proposals over the years. I mean, I really love IHI. It's an amazing organization. I think about that and how lucky I am to work here, like how lucky I was to slip into this so early in my career, and what a great growth experience it's been over the years. Like, I think I did a really great job developing the resident services program, but I never could have done that without the freedom and flexibility that IHI fosters. Like, without you can just try it. Like, sure, give that a try. Work with your residents, figure out what that could look like. I'm a better asset manager than I used to be, but I'm not sure that I'm contributing some great thing to IHI. I mean, I'm a hard worker, I do my job, but I would say I've gotten a lot more out of IHI than